Hello, Bad-Tempered Badger here, and I'm here today with, how do you say your name again?
Cingeto.
Cingeto, who is, I believe, calls it trainee Druid.
You could say that,
Or polytheist in general. So, how's that going?
it's going okay so far. It'll get better during the summer, but it's going okay so far.
Excellent. So what does that sort of mean for you?
For me, it just means I'm making an effort to do something to train to begin to get to that point. I have to train, and then I can eventually get into probably some of these organizations or groups that will actually let me in and officially make me one or something after several years of work.
So you'll be joining the official Druids.
There's a bunch of organizations. It just depends.
Yeah. There are quite a few varying sort of pagan and Wiccan organisations in the UK that float around. There's the ones that go to Stonehenge for the solstices every year.
That's Obad. No, not joining them, but they seem pretty good.
I know a few pagans actually indirectly. There's a guy around here, around the area I live in. He organises parties and stuff. He had an old pair of shoes that he'd had for absolutely years, and he did it like a Viking funeral for them.
Oh.
Because he'd finally worn through the soles in an irreparable way.
A Viking funeral for his shoes? Wow.
Yep.
Man.
So what sort of things do you do? In the Druid sense, I should say, not just, I'd sometimes walk down the street,
I'm still quite new, so generally right now, let me think. I guess you could say I just do the basics at the moment, not really much in depth, like the offerings and the ohm and the hers and stuff, just some of the smaller basic stuff. I'm still fairly new. I'm not that in depth yet.
I suppose the question everyone will want me to ask is: Are you a true believer in whatever it is that comes with your specific branch?
And the philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
Do I believe in the philosophy? Yeah.
In the philosophy of it, and from the polytheist perspective, do you believe in various different gods?
Yes.
Yeah. How does that manifest itself?
All right.
That's a stupidly phrased question, isn't it?
I'm trying to think. How does it impact my life? You mean?
Yeah. Let's put it that way. How does that impact your life?
Okay.
That's a much better way of putting it. How does that manifest itself?
I guess not that different than anybody else who's monotheistic. It is fairly. I mean, it probably only does it within ritual and things like that, which would be the main difference. And I may use different terminology and stuff, it gets me a different perspective on things. But I wouldn't say it makes me very different from anybody else too far.
Because I understand there are some people in the various different pagan and Wiccan and Druid and related religions, as with Christianity and the other things. I understand there are some that are more interested in the cultural and philosophical aspects than the spiritual side of things. So you're definitely on the spiritual side.
Yeah, I'm on both. There are atheopagans and things like that. If you're wondering how that works, it's just because generally modern paganism is orthopraxic instead of orthodoxic. You don't really have to believe anything. You just have to practice certain things.
Yeah, well, it's about a state of mind for some people, isn't it?
And it's also
a state of mind and practices to sort of. Nope, that's gone.
It has psychological and mental benefits and things like motivation and other things like that too. That some people find.
Yeah,
that's why.
In a similar way to meditation, I'd say.
Yeah, it works a lot like meditation.
Yeah. That's a question. So do you, is there like a shrine or something that you go to or set up or something like that?
Yeah, I can set up multiple shrines or something.
Excellent.
At the moment, it's probably just not that good at the moment. It's not that pretty, but it's what I can do so far.
Yeah, because I did do a little bit of reading into it a while ago. I understood that different sort of pagan traditions and Druidic traditions have, of course, because of the polytheism aspect, a lot of different gods and goddesses and so on. So the shrines, as I understand it, tend to be very individual to each person. Would you say that's accurate?
I would say that's accurate. That would be fairly accurate. Let me think.
Oh, here's a question for you. Do you do wassailing?
Do I do what?
The old tradition of going out to your orchard and scaring the evil spirits away by making lots of noise and tipping cider over the apple trees.
No, I've never heard of that, actually. I'm kind of curious.
Because
do people do that?
I'm doing some of that.
That sounds interesting. I've never heard of that before.
It's called wassailing. It's like an old Celtic tradition, I think.
Yeah. So it's like, is it is it where you are, or is it more or less?
Yeah,
okay,
it's
so
in the
it's
UK
England and
and
stuff.
surrounding countries, Germanic countries.
Oh.
I think it's a Germanic tradition. Anyway, the
Germanic?
reason I bring that up is don't even ask.
Okay.
There's things that I vaguely know what they mean, but if I actually try to go into detail, then I'll realise, I'm not sure what it means.
Anglo-Saxon is Germanic, and then Celtic is the other guys up there.
There's a whole mix of things that are kind of they're mixed throughout history in ways that are quite confusing.
Yep. I've noticed when I look at them.
It's an old tradition that was kind of co-opted by Christianity for a while, and then here's the thing. We organised this wassailing event locally because it's partly, for fun, going out and making a lot of noise around the local community orchard with drums and stuff.
That sounds really fun, actually.
Yeah, we get the kids together, and it's also an educational thing, talking about environmental conservation.
That's really good.
And how to live better with nature, and also it's about just having fun.
Glad you guys use that for environmental purposes. That's great.
Yeah. But the other thing is, we tried to organise it with. There's a local church group which is involved with some of these environmental events, and they just kind of went, "Nope, we're not doing that. That's a pagan thing." So that was very surprising. We just kind of, oh, okay.
I mean, yeah, so it's Christmas and everything else.
Yeah. But we thought it was tactful not to bring that up.
Yeah. Oh, I wonder. Wait, was it a Catholic or an Anglican?
I think there's both linked to this group, but separately. But yeah, that was something of a surprise. But now thinking back on it, should really have been expected. Just give this church. No, we're not doing that. That's pagan.
I mean, it's fun though. I don't see the issue. But,
yeah,
I guess I wouldn't. But
some people are funny about that.
Never heard of that tradition. That is really. Thank you for telling me. That's interesting.
Yeah, I'll put in the Twitter chat later on. I'll put in how it's spelled. What else can I ask?
Can I ask you another thing?
Yep, go on.
So you're big in environmentalism, probably because you're animal avatar, but
yeah, there's a bit of that. That's kind of why I picked the badger.
Yeah.
Also, I'm a badger, but.
So, what's your opinion on helpful invasive species?
Helpful invasive species. Can you give me an example?
I'm trying to think. I was about to say the mongoose, but then I remembered that was terrible. So I'm trying to think of a good one.
Mongoose.
I don't know why I almost said the mongoose.
Didn't Australia go to war with the mongoose?
No, I think it put it in Hawaii and it killed off like so many animals.
Oops.
That was a really bad idea. I'm trying to remember which one it was. Oh, it was some. Oh, actually, cannot remember. I think it's a species of crab. Actually, I think.
Oh, I might know what you mean. Just let me look something up. to the European green crab.
I think I can't remember. I want to say the red-clawed crab, but I might be wrong about that one too.
That's just what's come up with a little Google search here. Chinese mitten crab.
The what?
Chinese mitten crab. That's another thing that's come up. I mean, there's a lot of invasive species, so we're probably going to get like 50 different species of crabs with this search.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember what I was talking about. I guess I don't know what I'm talking about either.
Okay, so let's talk hypothetically then, because rather than trying to dig through and find a specific example.
Yeah. What do you think of let's just say if there's a helpful species that was brought in to be invasive, maybe to fill a gap or something. It was helpful. Fill a gap for a keystone species? What'd you think of that?
Well, I think it would depend on circumstances, but let's talk about some more specific circumstances. Let's say an invasive species that takes over and pushes other species out, like the indigenous native species. In that instance, I'd probably be, say, well, yes, it could be helpful, but it would need to be tightly controlled so that this invasive species doesn't take over. And, it just does what it's there to do. In other instances where, if it found a niche in the environment where it didn't take over from other species, but there was a gap that it could fill, I think but I don't personally have any objections to that. But I'm not, I'm not a super knowledgeable environmental scientist. I'm a conservation volunteer. So,
oh, and just one more environmental question.
There are well, let me just say one more thing about that. There are unforeseen consequences that can take years to manifest themselves. So you've got to be very careful with things like that.
That is a good point. One more environmental question, though.
Yeah, go on.
Should we let pandas go extinct?
Well, they are a bit silly, pandas.
Terrible animals.
Let's put it that way. But I'm not saying they should go extinct.
I mean, with all the money. I mean, extinct in the wild, not in captivity. I mean, in the wild.
Yeah, in the wild. There's a lot of effort being put into them not going extinct in the wild. I think there's only so much effort you can put into it, and that effort could be put into something that is actually willing to mate with its own species.
It's almost never. It's like 1 week out of an entire year, so.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they thought they were doing setting themselves up like that. I mean, no, I don't think that they should be let go extinct. I'm all for conservation of even the most silly species. But there's a level of effort that, beyond, you should probably focus your efforts on something elsewhere.
I figured people would just spend most of the money they use for pandas on other animals that are very important to their environments. Like badgers.
Or specifically in England, like vaccinating badgers against bovine tuberculosis.
Like wild or pet ones?
There's very few pet badgers.
Okay, I figured there might be some.
There are some. Occasionally you'll see the European badger as a pet in America.
Oh. Yeah.
That's something that's not very common, but I have heard of it happening. Probably. I'm not sure exactly what the deal with exporting and importing badgers is. In England, you're not supposed to interfere in any way with badgers.
Can't shoot them or anything, even if they're threatening your children or whatever.
Nope. You're not supposed to interfere with a badger set in any way, unless you are part of the badger cull to deal with bovine tuberculosis, which is a very contentious issue at the moment.
Huh. So even if they move into your house?
If they move into your house, you would need to call the right people to get them relocated.
Ah. All right. Do you have any more questions for me? I got you off topic. I'm sorry. I was just curious.
No, that's fine. I'm enjoying talking about badgers now. But yeah, the vaccination thing. There's a lot of talk that it would be much more cost effective than the way they're currently trying to deal with the bovine tuberculosis thing, which is killing off a large portion of the badger population in England. Which obviously I'm against.
Yeah.
They'd be killing my peoples. Yeah, there's some talk that it might be a lot more cost effective to do vaccination, but certain influential people are really pushing the cull idea. Anyway, here's the thing. Druids and pagan influences and Wiccans and stuff, there's a heavy environmental kind of theme to that. So how do you feel about that?
Oh, I'm very environmentalist. Like, yeah, I'm very supportive. I mean, I don't agree with some aspects, like eco-terrorism, like putting the nails in trees so when people try to just chop them down or just mow them down, they end up breaking the chainsaw and it hits the people and kills them. I don't agree with that, but I do think people should focus on the environment.
Yeah, I sort of agree with you there. That's just causing unnecessary hassle for everyone involved. But yes, there are definitely a lot of environmental issues. Are there any specific environmental issues that are specific to your area?
I can't think of any. I live in a pretty wooded area, so I mean, it's not that.
A lot of environment, but not too much issues.
I can't think of any issues at the moment. America has probably a lot more trees and stuff than I think England does.
Well, it's a lot bigger in general.
I mean,
vast wilderness areas.
I think proportionally it does.
Yeah, I think so. Well, a lot of England was deforested to make warships during the medieval periods, and particularly in Henry VIII's reign, I think.
Yeah, and America got reforested during a lot of the death period of the 1600s when the diseases were killing off the Native Americans, and the clearings got overgrown. I think that's how it happened. I could be wrong, but that's what I think. That's what I've heard.
Quite interesting. But it takes hundreds of years for forests in England to regrow properly, because the type of trees that are native, in order to get a big thick forest, like oak trees, live for absolutely ages, but they take absolutely ages to get to their full size.
I know bamboo grows fast. That's all I can think of that grows very fast.
Yeah, but bamboo is not native.
Yeah, that's the downside.
It's useful, but it's not native.
It is useful.
It's bamboo, because it's so fast growing, is one of the best things to make hardwood furniture out of, even though it's not a hardwood at all. It's a grass. It's so close to hardwood in its physical properties that it's used in the same way. So are you involved in any sort of environmental activism type stuff?
Not yet. I probably can't be for a while. I wish, but I'm not really able to at the moment.
Yeah, I understand where you're coming from there. I mean, even if you're, able to, it's difficult to know where you can usefully get involved in things.
I don't want to end up joining like those terrible organizations that are just don't really care about the cause and just use to get money and things like that too.
Or the ones that are just out to be violent.
Yeah, I hate those.
Like you see them turning up at almost every protest. There's a load of people who are there for a cause and they're trying to fight the good fight, and there are a load of people who are just there to throw rocks in windows
and make everyone else look bad.
Okay, here's the thing. How organised are the different sort of Druid organisations in your area?
Depends on how close, because a lot of them aren't that close to me.
Alright, let's say countrywide. How organised is it, and how are there lots of different split sects, or are there kind of a centralised thing?
Oh, there's a lot of different sects. There's a lot of organizations. The ADF is probably the largest, and then OBOD, and then there's a bunch of smaller ones that are very individual and personal. There's like a couple big ones, and then a bunch of diverse tiny ones, mostly is what I know about from the maps.
Okay. So not so much in the mid-range. So here with the Wiccans, it's a lot of small covens generally.
I think so. I'm not too familiar, but that's what I think.
I'm not hugely familiar with that side of things either, but I'm interested. Because all the various pagan-linked religions, I tend to put... If someone asks me to give an example of what I would call a good religion, I point to various branches of paganism and say, look at these.
Oh, you like them better than others?
Oh yeah. If I had to pick one, I'd go with one of those. Partly because I'm just interested in the history of, because a lot of it comes from my kind of, well, England.
Yeah.
There's a lot of background from the history of my country and surrounding countries in that. So I'm interested in it historically. I'm also interested in it environmentally because of the focus on living well with nature. And I'm also just interested. It just seems a lot more fun.
I guess I would say it probably is. Were you ever a part of the Anglican Church or the Catholic Church or any of them?
I was part of the Church of England for a while. So yeah, that'd be Anglicans and stuff like that.
What were they like? Were they fun, or how did they do things? At least like
they weren't that fun. The local one was quite culty.
Oh boy.
Local to where I live. I grew up in a small English village in the countryside, and the church in that village was a bit cultish.
Oh boy.
If you weren't involved with the church, you weren't involved with village life.
Oh, that sounds fun. Yeah.
The church also ran the local school. It was an official, properly certified school, but aided by the Church of England. So the headmaster was a very high up guy in the church.
For a second there, I thought that was illegal, but then I remembered you're in England, not America.
Oh yeah. There's no separation of church and state here. The Queen runs both.
Have you ever seen those memes about, like, some random guy said she was going to die on the 5th, and then everyone was making jokes about it?
I don't think I've seen those.
They were just dumb memes about that. And everyone like, she has 2 days left or something. It was dumb.
I found a Twitter account a little while ago called, I think it's called Elizabeth Windsor. And it's like a spoof account of the Queen. And it has such amazing tweets as, Theresa May's on the phone. I've got no idea what she's talking about. Mostly because I hung up and I'm back on the gin.
Oh, I love Twitter. If you've looked at my tweets, you can see it's my outlet.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you've seen a few of mine.
I have. They're fun.
I saw you liking a couple, actually.
Yeah.
I think I've liked a couple of yours as well. But my latest ones have been a bit... I'm getting a bit sarcasm. Getting a bit of the old sarcasm coming out lately.
British sarcasm.
Oh, that's what we're known for.
Yeah. being dry, sense of humor.
Although I have realised recently that in some ways I'm enjoying American sitcoms more than I'm enjoying British ones.
Aren't British ones usually like a week long, and then like American ones span like, or I know American ones span like long.
There's that, but as well as that, there's the American ones. There's a difference between American and British ones, which is the American ones try to have a positive ending.
The British never do.
They try. The American ones at the end of the episode, they try to sort of bring everything back, reset the status quo, and have everyone at least getting on with each other again.
Oh, definitely.
Whereas the British ones don't. Have you ever watched an episode of Fawlty Towers?
No, I have not.
Watch an episode of Fawlty Towers, and you'll see how everything culminates with it all going to absolute shit for Mr. Fawlty right at the end.
Sounds
like that one episode where the health inspector is visiting the hotel. And right at the end, he opens a biscuit tin in front of the health inspector, and there is a rat poking out of the biscuit tin.
That's not a good situation to be in.
And there's yeah, the British, the American sitcoms. Stephen Fry explained it in an interesting way. American sitcoms focus on the sort of the wisecracking hero who is always, smarter and more funny than everyone around him and always has something witty to say. Whereas the British sitcom focuses on the absolute failure character who is just such a disaster that he's funny to watch.
There's some American sitcoms like that. I have to think of some off the top of my head. Oh, I can't think of any at the moment, but there are some. Life is an absolute disaster.
I think my favourite American sitcom that I watched has been Parks and Recreation.
I know some people who watched it. I haven't watched it, but I know some people who have. So that's close enough.
It's mostly I mostly watch it for Ron Swanson.
Oh.
He's got such amazing lines as "I'm going to leave so as not to have to be here anymore."
Thank you, thank you. You need to watch what are these? Have you seen the Finding Bigfoot in the History Channel shows?
I haven't. I've just seen that guy with the aliens.
Oh yeah, those are amazing. They're completely ridiculous.
I put Ken Ham's face on him for one of my. I put Ken Ham's face on him for one of my video thumbnails. It's just Ken Ham there going, atheists.
Oh yeah. Yeah, Ken Ham's an interesting fellow.
Yeah, but I'll have to watch some of these. What were we talking about? The history ones. That was it. The Bigfoot.
Yeah. You watch the Bigfoot ones are some of the best. They're just so dumb, and it's just these rednecks, or I guess in England they'd be called chavs, I think. From saying the terminology right. These rednecks go out with their guns, and for some reason they don't even know how to use the guns. Where they have like the head of the gun face at their face like an idiot, and it's just
okay.
One used it as a walking stick. Like you don't.
I thought all these guys are supposed to know what they're doing.
They don't know anything. They're just a bunch of guys who go out there in the woods for fun and figure to make it into a TV show about finding Bigfoot.
Oh dear.
They don't care. And they have these obscure clues, like this sort of looks like a footprint, sort of, if you look at it from the right angle and things like that.
Right.
I know the Mormons think like Bigfoot's actually Cain or something.
Oh no.
It's from an old story that the Mormons have.
I thought Cain was Dracula.
Wait, I thought Dracula was Judas.
Oh,
isn't
I see?
Judas was like cursed to be like a vampire or something from God after he hung himself, and he has to suck blood to stay alive, and he's also allergic to silver.
Yeah, it could be
because of betraying Jesus with 50 pieces of silver. I think that's why he can't handle silver.
Yeah, that would do it. Well, you see, this thing with it is. It makes that whole thing. This is what originally put me off Christianity. This is what originally made me start to question whether I believed it or not. There's the two sides of it, which are God has a plan for everyone. Everything is, he knows how everything's going to turn out before it happens. But also, he'll throw you in hell for doing the thing that he's already got pre-planned.
Calvinism.
And then I was there going, oh, well, that makes no sense. Let me think about this, actually. Oh, wait, none of it makes sense.
I understand that feeling. I guess the moral or the problem of evil was one of the biggest things that throws people off. Jehovah's Witnesses, they're the worst. Ugh.
Oh, they're I wouldn't say worst, but they're pretty bad.
The people aren't the worst, but the culty organization's one of the worst.
The Jehovah's, there's some around here. There's some that stand on a corner next to a little shopping area. And they've got their little pamphlets and they give them out.
The ones around here just go by the houses the same day on every year, the same day they come by our house. It's on the same day. It's just annoying. But
are they knocking on the doors or are they just walking past?
Oh, they knock on the doors.
Oh dear. I've been watching some of Theremin Tree's videos on dealing with them. That's another YouTube channel, by the way.
I'll check them out.
They're one of my favourites. The only problem is the intro music sets my speakers rattling. I need to listen to them on a headset for the intro.
Yeah. I don't think the people are bad people. A lot of the people seem nice, but I do think the organization's awful to their people, terrible.
That's the thing with a lot of religious organizations. The actual people are really nice, but the thing they represent isn't.
Yeah.
But that you can't necessarily blame the people for that, because they've been just as indoctrinated as the people who came before them.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that they're trying to do the same to.
Mm-hmm. I don't blame. I'm always nice to the people who come to our house. I invite them in and I sit them down and I ask them if they want anything to drink.
There was a guy in the city centre near me. He had a whole table set up in next to a major crossing with all kinds of Islam information.
Huh.
So I went up and I had a little chat with him. I said, what's that in the news? I'm spreading the word of Islam. I've got Qurans here. I've got all the pamphlets with the information. I said, do you mind if I grab some of those? Yeah, they're all free. Take them. I was like, all right.
Really?
I don't think he was intending me to do what I intended to do with them.
Oh, did you burn them?
Oh no.
Oh, what'd you do?
I have burned the Quran.
Oh, don't say that online.
To CD. I burnt a copy of it onto a CD
I see.
in order that I could say, yeah, I did that. And then people say, oh, I wouldn't do that. I say, yeah, I burnt it onto a CD.
There we go. I guess that's fine.
Or, because that's the terminology, does anyone who's got a Quran on disc have to get stoned to death for being an apostate?
Fun fact, though, about Islam. There's a lot of bad things in the Quran and stuff in the religion, but there's actually some good things, too. You want to know one good thing I really do like?
Mm-hmm.
They're very hospitable. They're from Bedouin culture, if you know about the Bedouins and stuff. So when you come into their house, they're obligated to be nice to you and things like that in their culture.
That's really interesting.
I've heard.
But that's the thing.
About that.
There's a lot of good things in each different religion. There's all kinds of good stuff that goes with them.
It's just some of it has a lot of bad stuff.
There's just troublesome beliefs and practices that cause a lot of problems and really should have been got rid of by now.
Uh-huh.
I don't mind. People can believe whatever the hell they like, as far as I'm concerned. They can believe things and they can do whatever religious practices they like,
as long as they don't hurt anybody.
Not harming anyone.
What'd you say? The audio did weird.
As long as they're not harming anyone.
Yeah, I agree. I don't want them to harm anybody either. But there are some things in Islam I do appreciate. I don't like the overall religion, but I do appreciate certain elements.
Well, there's certain things about the culture I enjoy.
Mm-hmm. I like the music.
I really like the artwork that always goes on the front of the Quran.
Oh, you're right. It is very pretty. It's
the Arabic text is really nice to look at.
it's like cursive, but advanced.
It's
cursive.
all pretty.
And if you listen to the Quran, it does have like a rhythm and it sings and everything. What would you say is the most scary cult, in your opinion?
The most scary cult. What's that one where they all killed themselves? It's Heaven's Gate, isn't it?
It was it Heaven's Gate or Jonestown?
I think. No, Jonestown tried to kill lots of other people.
I thought they killed themselves in like Ghana or something.
I think they may have done that as well. Actually, thinking about it.
I think they both did. Huh. I mean, ones that exist today, like the NIFB or something like that. Do you know what the NIFB is?
No, I don't.
The New Independent Fundamental Baptists. They're like the Independent Fundamental Baptists, but even more extreme and fundamentalist.
Oh, are they the guys that, what's he called?
Matt Powell and Stephen Anderson?
Yeah, Matt Powell, that's the guy.
That's what he belongs to.
They're his guys, are they? Oh dear.
Yeah, they're really extreme. They're not as bad as the Westboro Baptist, but they're not too far either.
Here's a fun story. I did a video on Matt Powell. Within 15 minutes of that video going up, there were probably 10 views at that point. He was in the comments.
Wow.
You know, actual Matt Powell. Matt Powell official was in my comments.
What did he say?
Saying something like, keep shadowboxing, buddy, your videos are not that good, or something like that.
Oh, okay.
And then, I think he's got like a Google alert set up for his name.
Huh. That'd be interesting.
So within like 15 minutes of my video going up, he was there like, whoa! So then I replied saying, oh, what do you think needs improving or something? I'd love to have a chat with you sometime. Fancy coming on? And then he didn't answer.
Oh, I'd love to chat with him. That'd be an interesting chat.
See, I've kind of said I'll talk to anyone within reason, as long as we can have a civil conversation. I will within reason talk.
Would you talk to G-Man?
He's the crazy one, isn't he?
He's the super crazy one. Yes. Who
Yeah, I'd have a chat with him.
Freak out. I don't know if you could have a civil conversation with him, but
well,
I don't know. He's been in civil conversations. Yeah, he has.
I'd try.
Yeah, if you're calm, he's calm. I think he's more reactionary than most people realize.
Yeah, I'd try, but oops, oh, never mind. Yeah, I'd try, but you know, if it went to be not civil, then I'd kind of go, nah, that's enough. That's enough of that. Don't need any more of that. Right, what else can we discuss?
Can I ask you a question out of curiosity? Yeah. What was I going to say? I haven't watched your videos on the Brexit yet. Sorry, I'm bringing this up now, but I haven't watched them yet. It's just popped in my head. You can cut this out if you prefer. It's popped in my head. In your opinion, do you think that it's going to lead to a domino effect within a bunch of other European countries?
I don't know. Let me ask you a quick question. Where do you sort of fall on the spectrum of what you want to happen there?
I don't know. I would say I prefer the EU to be replaced with something better.
I'm on. Well, I don't know if you've seen any of my
haven't yet.
Brexit-related content. I voted to leave. And I did that not for the reasons that a lot of people did, you know, not because I want all the immigrants out or anything like that, but because I'm against over-centralization of authority and I want power to be more local.
It's a very conservative view. I guess not conservative. I'm not sure how UK members define that, but America, that'd be a very more conservative view. Dispersion of power.
Well, the thing is, I don't fall anywhere that's easily recognisable on the whole political spectrum. I did one of those compass tests, and it put me way on the left. But then I find myself agreeing with a load of things that people that are traditionally way on the right seem to think of, and people that are moderately on the right, and then other things that people that are way on the left or moderately on the left would agree with. So I don't seem to fall anywhere on the old spectrum that makes sense.
Say you're centrist and you get away with it.
Yeah, let's go with that. I'm a wonky centrist. But yeah, I'm for localized authority because I'm an advocate of freedom of the individual in most aspects of their lives. And that goes with regard to the government. I think the government's role should be to look after people, and that can be anything from stopping people killing each other to stopping people being exploited by big companies to trying to prevent people being exploited by each other. But I think it should be done in as hands-off a way as possible.
Oh, I can understand that. That sounds pretty libertarian.
Yeah, that's the thing that I think I lean strong. The group that I think I identify the most with would be libertarians, but I seem to disagree with them as well.
On what would you say, or if you don't want your viewers to hear it or not, but what would you say you disagree with them on?
To be honest, I can't remember right now. There were things that I was chatting with people and going back and forth on. We were having a bit of a discussion, and it all went a bit wonky there. So yeah, I'd have to have a think about that and get back to you.
Okay, well, I don't know. I find European politics fascinating because they don't have a constitution. It's just kind of interesting how you guys deal with that.
Well, Europe doesn't have a constitution. Various member states within it do. The UK doesn't, but it does have something similar that is not applied in the same way.
Isn't it based mostly off tradition and things like that?
There's tradition. There is a specific document which I now, for the life of me,
Magna Carta? That's old, though.
There is a Magna Carta, but that's not what I'm thinking of. Hang on. Google. There are people who want there to be a codified United Kingdom constitution. Count Dankula's a big advocate of that lately.
I don't know if you guys should do that, because constitutions can be really good, but they can also be really bad.
I don't know if it's a good idea or not. I wouldn't mind there being specific protections for freedom of speech and things like that are enshrined like they are in the US, but there's other things that can go a bit dodgy with that. I did enjoy the one with Kent Hovind and Aaron Ra.
I think I watched
show.
Part of that.
I did enjoy that.
Kent Hovind's a terrible person. Oh boy.
Oh, I've done a few things on him. Oh, I did one on that. Do you know Cyrus the Skeptic?
Oh yeah, I know him.
We've seen his discount Kent Hovind videos.
Yeah, the guy. He looks. Did he wear a cowboy hat once? Yeah.
I like his dress sense. I like that how he covers himself in
Western
cloth
style sometimes.
I like his look. I just don't agree with him. I did a video using a lot of clips from him. It's one of the videos I'm most proud of, actually. It's my Noah's Ark video.
I think I watched that one where you did the thing on the box Noah's Ark.
Yeah.
Where it's really terrible and not seaworthy at all.
Did you like my highly scientific bucket?
I love the dinosaur stuff.
I got this bucket, put it in my living room, put a bit of water in it, and then dropped a block of wood into it. As you can see by this highly scientific bucket, bloop.
Yeah, pretty big old oblong.
Then I just poked it with a stick, and it kept spinning over in the water. I was like, see, it's a stupid shape for a boat.
But the weird thing is, that's not even what the Bible says in Genesis. It makes it out to be a ship. I don't know why they did it so blocky. That's in the Epic of Gilgamesh. It's a different one. The Epic of Gilgamesh is like a square, I think.
Yeah. And it's stupid design. I mean, the other designs are stupid design as well, because they don't have room for all the animals they'd need.
Well,
but...
it's not even structurally sound. It's wood.
Yeah.
Wood can't.
No, I mean, even a boat-shaped one, it would still not make sense, because it's wood and it's too big. And also, even if they could make a boat as big as the Bible says, it still wouldn't fit all the animals on.
Yeah, and how... Like, I don't even think it could fit all the insects you need on there.
Yeah, like I mentioned in the thing, unless Noah conveniently came up with embryology and cryogenics, it wouldn't work.
He needs a lot of cold for that, and I don't think he really has any air conditioning.
I like putting Kent Hovind's face on the dinosaurs.
Have you seen the picture of Jesus on a velociraptor?
Yep.
I think it's creative what Ken Ham made. I just wish he wouldn't like publish it as factual. I think it's cool and creative. I like the dinosaur stuff, fighting the giants. I think that's kind of a cool idea, but I don't think he should portray it as real.
Yeah. You could make it into a fun theme park, though.
Yeah, but he didn't. Like, he had the idea for the poop chute in the ark. He really should have actually made one to show it. That would have
made it into a disaster.
I mean, yeah, it would build up way too much ammonia, but it's still, you'd at least demonstrate that it's possible.
Yeah.
Super toilet in the ark. If you've been to the ark encounter, you see it. But I don't think you've been.
No, I strangely enough, I haven't travelled all the way across the Atlantic
Ew.
to go to Ken Ham's marvellous museum to misinformation.
It's mostly a bunch of plaques. I actually enjoyed the outside a lot more than the inside.
I liked the photo where from one angle it looks like a ship, but from the other angle it's just a building with a ship glued to the side.
That's what it is. And the best part is, the first time it rained, the ark sustains water damage. I think it was the first time it rained.
Oh, what a shame.
It's
almost like the whole thing wouldn't work.
But it was really... there's a lot of Amish people there, because you know how the Amish love woodwork and stuff?
Oh, yeah.
Because the Amish, like, he hired a bunch of Amish people to actually build the thing. Because for the building it, you can't use nails or anything, because in the Bible they didn't have nails. So they got a bunch of Amish people. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a good idea. You've got the skills for it, putting up all them barns.
Yeah, they do barn raisings in a weekend, and it's amazing. Or a day.
I am actually training in carpentry at the moment.
Ooh.
Yeah, I'm retraining because of reasons. So I'm doing carpentry. I recently cut some wood with a saw. Got distinction for it. Anyway, it's getting rather late here, so I should probably wrap up for the evening.
Alright, well, it was a pleasant chat.
Well, thank you for coming on and joining me, Cingeto. It's been great chatting with you.
Thank you.
And, thanks for watching, everyone, assuming I make this into a video.